Ever do anything for a man he wouldn't do for you if he could. By that I mean, unless he physically cannot, like let's say give birth, don't do anything for a man that he would not do for you. I'm going to show you a story, and it seems like such a cute love story. Love conquers all. Don't do this. Seriously. Oh my God. I'm going to discover stuff as I read it, because I just kind of was like, oh, no. And then I stopped because I was like, okay, I got to cover this one. So in the If Melanie Had a column, here we go. I think this story covers a good portion of the red flags I talk about all the time. I almost wish we could make this into a game. Like if you can catch them now, how many you come up with? Because you may come up with some that I don't. So let's go. He had her at the baby moose. Don't fall for this. Just because a man has a photo of an animal and his profile picture on a dating app does not mean that man actually is a nurturing person or that he's selfless or all that crap. I swear to God, so many men have photos with cute animals. Don't buy it. Ashley, why is that written like it's French? Ashley Miller, a musician, expanded her dating profile to upstate New York and Massachusetts. She didn't expect to end up in Alaska with Francis Marley, a search and rescue. How many red flags in this one paragraph besides the baby moose thing? Search and rescue. Got a little hero. A little hero wants to save everybody, but will probably ignore her. And she moved to Alaska from New York. Don't ever do that. I'm not saying it'll never work out, but chances are that is the worst thing you could ever do. Move for a man, but especially move that far that she might as well be in another country, distance-wise. Luckily, she doesn't have all the laws and immigration that are gonna screw her too. But okay, don't do this. I already hate this couple's. Okay, sorry, I'm getting ahead. June 2021, Francis Charles Marley checked out Ashley Michelle's Miller's Match.com profile, but clicked away without so much as a like. Red flag. Not interested. Okay, anyway, already not looking good, y'all. She would have let it go if the app hadn't pictured him cradling a baby moose in the middle of a raging Alaska river. Actually, you should have let it go because now you're stuck in Alaska, but okay. I forget how Match works. I abandoned that app a long time ago, even when I was on all the other apps, because I get unsolicited messages from the biggest losers. I'm guessing that you can see who checks out your profile. She noticed he checked out her profile and he didn't like it. That's all you needed to know, but okay. Miss Miller, 35. What'd I tell y'all? This is the age range where women make terrible decisions about men because they either A, want a baby or like don't want to enter 40 single. You know how many women I've heard say that? I can't hit 40 and I've never been married. Do it. I dare you. I did it. Worked out very well for me. 40s are the best years of my life so far. Really wish women would stop being scared of 40. I'm not saying that this was her thinking, but between 34 and 40, women make the craziest decisions, and it's all because of fear, and I don't want to be this, or I don't want to be that, and I'm a loser, and I've been to so many weddings, la 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 la. Don't buy it. Don't fall for it. You'll literally make the worst decisions of your life that you can't take back. Like having a baby with a loser. Anyway, okay, here we go. Oh, sorry, I'm already riled up. She was riding out the pandemic at her parents' house in Reidsville, whatever, North Carolina. Okay, she's Southern. I know how you were probably raised. So I'm guessing that, oh my God, I'm gonna be 40 and single thing is real strong. When Mr. Marley thumbed past her profile, the Upper West Side of Manhattan, where she lived, was still under COVID restrictions. As a professional musician who specializes in music theory and clarinet performances, her life there had come to a standstill. Okay, so this 35-year-old woman is living in New York City, Upper West Side. So I'm not saying she's rich, but she's definitely not struggling as much as a lot of people in New York, unless she has a rent-controlled apartment, whatever. Anyway, doesn't mean you're rich by any means, but that's a nice neighborhood. She's a professional musician living in New York. Do you know how many people wish that they could do that? Actually make a living doing that? There's a lot of musicians in New York, but they have like the crappiest jobs and they're trying to make it. So she's kind of made it if she's a professional musician living on the Upper West Side. Teaching gigs at, she's a teacher at Juilliard. Like the most prestigious, as far as I know, the most or one of the most definitely in the United States, one of the most in the world. She's a teacher there? Huh. Okay. Very impressive career. Very impressive career. I'm not even in the music world, but I'm pretty sure that's a big deal. Right? Correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. And as an adjunct professor at Adelphi University and City University of New York, moved online. Regular performances with Miami's new Deco Ensemble being live streamed. Hey, I'm sorry, I'm not reading this well. Forgive me. Concerts with another ensemble, Parhelion Trio, were on pause. Okay, she's doing a lot of stuff. And I know it's on pause because a global pandemic, most of our lives were upended by that on multiple levels. That doesn't mean you get married. A pause from her dating apps would have been welcome too. In New York, where she had lived since 2006, that's a long time, was that 15 years? That's commitment. New York is the hardest place I've ever lived in my life. Everywhere feels easy compared to that city. Sorting through men had started to feel like a part-time job. I mean, that's anywhere. That's literally anywhere. I was on the apps in LA. I've been on the apps in France, and I was on the apps in Spain. That's anywhere. Anyway, it's a part-time job because women don't want to get murdered. And that's a lot of work. Honestly, I wish we could get paid for how much we spend trying to make sure the date we're going on doesn't cut off our head. But in North Carolina, my mom said, here it is. This is not just Southern women. This is definitely Southern woman state. You have to keep dating. You can't put it off. Now we know why she's in Alaska. Mom was like, you don't want to be a loser. Like your little friend, Leanna, down the street. The amount of pressure the mothers, and I know this is like across cultures, right? Being a white woman from the South. My mom didn't do this. She didn't put pressure on me to have kids. Actually, she was relieved when I told her I didn't want kids. But I think she was just like, just please let Melanie take care of herself and not die. I mean, if you've heard my stories, you can understand how hard it must be to be my mother. But anyway, even though my mother did not do this, I promise you, most of the women I know, this was that. I know Southern women real, and church too. Probably in the church. You are a forking loser if you are single at 35 and you are a white woman in the South. And again, pretty sure this is very common across many cultures and countries and communities, but I know for a fact this is super important in this region. King baby rules with an iron baby fist. And if you don't have one that you're attached to, you suck. Not worth anything. Hoping to meet someone in upstate New York where she had recently bought a parcel of land near the Catskills to enjoy she's doing very well. She just bought land near the Catskills. That ain't cheap. You know how many people in New York want to move? Well, at the pandemic, they all started doing that, like working from whatever you call it. They call it teletravail here. I forget what you call it in English. I lived up there. I lived in New Paltz. Definitely not cheap there. It's an hour and a half from New York. So she got property. She's doing very well. I take back what I said before. Maybe she's in a really crappy apartment. She's in a nice apartment. She may not be making a ton of money, but she's doing fine. It's a place up there to enjoy mountains later in life, or nearby Massachusetts. She expanded her search range. What? I'm so confused. She bought land in the Catskills, got land, hoping to meet someone there, or maybe Massachusetts. How desperate are you? This is all because of your mom. Patriarchal conditioning. Women who are afraid of being 40 and alone are doing too much. Okay. Before I go any farther, y'all know how I talk about long distance relationships and moving places for men, or even having them move for you. There is a reason why long distance relationships are hard. And a lot of it is you don't know this person. You don't actually see them enough to know them. Half the time they're lying about a whole family that you'll never know about because you're never there enough. If you're moving to another country, whole video on that alone. Bad idea usually. But the most important thing is you are the one who's going to be expected to sacrifice, because men under patriarchy seem to think that their life is a motorcycle and you're the sidecar and you go where he goes. This is his life and you are, what is it called? A supporting character. He's the main character. And men's tendency to make you center them, even if they're not even aware they're doing it. They just do it. That's going to be like 10 times worse if it's a long distance relationship and you go and move with him. Just saying. Anyway, let's see. Okay, Alaska was a little farther than she would have liked. But when she saw that she had caught the eye of the man with the baby moose, fascination gripped her. Don't let fascination ever grip you, because it has a chokehold on her. Curiosity killed the kitty. Remember? I'm a very curious person. That is literally why I've had amazing life, and that's also why I've been in so many dangerous situations. Oh, wow, what a little bad boy. Wow, he seems exciting. I wonder what that's like. Months later, I almost died. Like, fascination with men, don't let that be a driving force. Being fascinated by them and their world, or feeling sorry for them. What are the other terrible reasons that we fall for men? No. I'll remember later. You know, besides the obvious, like Beauty and the Beast over and over and over and over again. Like, I save him. That hooked me, she said. Here we go. This is why, don't chase after men, y'all. It's not like he liked her with a little heart or whatever they have on that app, and then she sent the first message, because even that's like not great. Like you're still, the ball is in his court. If you were doing this, you are telling this man right out of the gate, A, that you're desperate, and B, that you are going to be the one who's doing the courting. And if men already feel so much entitlement under patriarchy and feel like they're all just these little princes that are gonna be kings, and then they got a woman who's like, you're the prize, you're the prize. Hey, you're already telling him that you're the prize, that he's the prize. He should be doing that for you. I'm not saying it never works out. Sometimes it does, but I almost never see this end well for women when they are the ones chasing. Even in the first message. Why didn't he like your profile? There's no harm in liking it. Why didn't he like it? And then you sent him a message anyway. No. Ashley. I said, hey, I saw you looking at my profile. I just wanted to say, I think you're really interesting. He didn't think you were interesting. He didn't even like your profile, much less tell you he thought you were interesting. But okay. Now, Mr. Marley, 50. I missed that. There's so much I've already missed, but I kind of like just not discovering this with y'all. 52. Hospice wife. That's what you are. Hospice wife. I think it's going to get better. It's only going to get worse. I mean, in the right? Also, lives in Alaska. That right there is a red flag. Just like Jackson Hole, Wyoming, a lot of the places I've lived. The odds are good, but the goods are odd, because a lot of these broken men want to be with nature because they're not compatible with women. They just love their little baby moose, but they don't know how to take care of women in terms of emotional, all that stuff. So Mr. Marley, a coordinator of abandoned mine lands and hazardous, oh great. That sounds safe. He's got a dangerous job. I hope he has life insurance, Ashley. For the Department of Interior Bureau of Land Management was slightly embarrassed. All right, what does that mean? His breeze past Miss Miller's profile wasn't for lack of enthusiasm. Yeah, right. It probably was. You can't say that. not in the New York Times vowel section. I saw Ashley and her music and her New York background, and I'm like, well, I doubt she'd be interested. See, I sniff insecurity. If he already is like, she probably won't go for a loser like me, so he's too afraid to hit the like button. Red flag. Men who are not confident will make you not confident, because that's got to go somewhere, and if they know they don't deserve you, they will make sure to neg you down to make themselves feel better, and then they cheat on you anyway. There was also the possibility she had heard the rumor. In Alaska, the odds are said to be good for women looking for single men, but the goods, odd. Yeah, okay, that's a weird way to say it, but that is the saying. But it's not just Alaska, it's like every ski town. Do not date skiers. I know some that are very cool, but they're the exception, not the rule. Because most of these skier men haven't built community. They've never gone to therapy. Go ski instead of like deal with their feelings. And then they're like, oh crap, I'm 45 and I don't want to die alone. I need a woman to take care of me. And then they like marry someone who's like 20. Swear to God. Anyway, here we are. You're not 20, but 17 years younger. Ashley, you could have done better. Anyway, it's a trope that felt at least partially true to Mr. Marley at the time. Since moving to Anchorage in 1996, spurts of dating apps activity have confirmed for him that the state is like a small town. He said, a shrunken cast of available women resurfaced on every app he tried for fresh prospects. I needed to look outside of Alaska. Okay. The thing is he was actually a really good guy. He would have met someone in Alaska. You know, I have one of my close friends is in Alaska. You know how hard it is for her to meet a man in Alaska, even though they're everywhere? Because they all suck. So if he's not having any luck in Alaska, it's because he sucks. That's my opinion. I could be wrong. But how, he's kind of being, this is insulting. He's basically like, well, no one here would date me. So I put a farther net, like New York. How did he do this? I'm genuinely curious, because on Tinder, back when I was on, you could do Tinder Passport, and you could literally say you're in another place that you're not, which is how so many of these men would really swindle you. And some swindled me. Like, oh wait, you're not in this town? They're like, nah, actually I live 2 hours away. But I'm guessing he can set his location like she did. Did you set yours to Alaska? Ashley! Oh, she set hers to Alaska. That's how this works. Somebody explain this to me. I don't understand. How did she match with someone with Alaska? She literally, I could see her being in New York City and be like, well, maybe New York or Massachusetts, but this is Alaska. How did he come up in your feed? I don't understand. Either way, he's basically they didn't like her when he saw her, because either A, he wasn't interested, or B, thought she was too good for him. Either one is not good. B, he's only looking for women on the other side of the world practically, because Alaska is so far away, y'all. It's so far away. So much farther than you think it is. I've been to Alaska. Dang, this is like going to, another country. Alaska to New York. He can't find anyone in 3 whole time zones, or this is so insulting. I couldn't find anyone within 5,000 miles of me, so New York. Because he wasn't afraid to cast a wider net. That is some audacity. This is a desperate man, 52, who doesn't want to die alone and needs a woman to take care of him. That's what this is. Maybe it's love, but that's all I see. The sheepishness Mr. Marley felt when Miss Miller caught him pursuing her match profile in 21 didn't last long. Within days, both were feeling breathless before what became daily Zoom date. Don't do this either. Why are you talking to this man every day? You literally just met him. See, you are Ashley, you are giving I'm so desperate vibes, just this pre-dating crap. Every night we talk for hours. Don't you have a life? We talked for hours and hours. I was amazed by how kind he was. I started thinking to myself, I wonder if I could live in Alaska. No, okay. Do you see where this is going, y'all? You've been following me for a while. You know exactly what's happening here. First of all, you're signaling this man you're desperate because you liked him. Then you send him a message. Then you made yourself available every night for hours, knowing that you are not meeting anytime really soon. I just want to say this little caveat. I actually think it's good to talk on the phone with someone before you go on a date with them. I did that with Anthony. We had several conversations before we went on a date. I was they were such awesome conversations. Just couldn't stop talking. I think that's a good idea, but within a limited time. And I also was doing my stuff. I went to drum club. I didn't alter my life right out of the gate, because what you're signaling is you're already adapting to them. You're already centering them, and they already think they're the sun. And you're like, oh, I'm already in orbit. Oh, and they're like, cool, I love this dynamic. So I do agree with talking on the phone, because otherwise you're gonna and I don't even wear makeup and do all of this stuff that a lot of women do. Mostly because I'm lazy. I don't know how to. I'm a little tomboy and who tries to be feminine sometimes. Anyway, but I know that this is a huge investment for women. The time, the money of outfits, hair, nails, makeup, it's so much to invest in somebody for just one date. So I absolutely think it's a great idea to chat with them on the phone just to get a feel, so that you don't waste all your time and a whole night out that you could be with your girls or doing something cool, eating dinner or whatever with this idiot that you're entertaining because he can't even talk. Most of the dates I went on, I was like, wow, I should have just done a little one-woman show and gotten paid being on stage, because I just carried this whole conversation. Don't ever date a man that you have to already carry the conversation. That already, he's too lazy to even talk to you. Anyway, whatever. I can do a whole video on that. Let me know if you want a video on that. So she's doing all this, doing too much right out of the gate. Before she even meets him, or before the Zoom, she was doing too much. Now she's doing too much, and now, here we go. She's already ready to move. I can work it. I know that a lot of us do this. Of course I've done this. And then I was like, no, I'm not moving. Fork that. She's just like, maybe I can move to Alaska. And then she does. You know what I mean? It's normal to be like, maybe. And then I remember that half of my love stories were all in my head. None of that ever happened. I just was projecting into the future, which is fine, but don't act on it. She's already ready to sacrifice her whole career to move. You think they have, how are you going to do this crap in Alaska? There's a reason why you wanted to buy property close to New York City. Like all the other artists who don't want to live in the city, they go as close as they can if they can afford it. Oh, God, Ashley. I still blame your mom. Your mom probably did this to you. Okay, I don't want to blame her mom, because her mom's also a victim of patriarchy, but women are the foot soldiers of patriarchy. No, my people, white women, are absolutely very good at carrying it on, making sure the king baby always exists. Oh my God, I'm going to stop. And the church did this to her, because I promise you, she's in the church somehow. I don't know anyone in the South who, even though I'm not religious, I still had to go to church. Actually, that's another story. I finally had to not go to church because I got kicked off choir tour in high school for smoking. Great, I don't have to go again. I had to literally humiliate my mom, not have to go to this thing I did not believe in. Because you have to go to church for image management. But then if all you do is embarrass your mom, then they're like, okay, just don't go. I didn't even know that would happen, but I was pretty smart, huh? Anyway, July, on her first trip, hold on. Oh, Ashley, y'all matched in June. You're already flying out there in July, and you're flying to him. He should have flown to you. I swear to God, y'all, do you have any idea how many examples I've seen of this in my personal life? And I did this once too. Of every time there's a long distance relationship, when the men didn't like these women, they never flew to them. If you're the one who's always going to him, stop. You're doing too much. At the most, you should be doing it 50-50, but he should be coming to you. The egg doesn't swim to the sperm, baby. I mean, am I wrong? So she's already booked a trip. I bet, how much do you want to bet she paid for that? He didn't pay for that. If he had paid for that, it would be in this article, I promise you. She paid for that. So she's paying for this date. She's paying, and that's a very expensive first date. Even if he takes her out to dinner and stuff, nothing costs as much as a freaking trip to Alaska. Anyway, I didn't expect to fall in love with it. Of course you fell in love with it. Of course, first of all, it's July. Have you been to Alaska in January? I have. July, it's like, wow. Then you go in January and you're like, you're not going to see the sun for months. Except for like, I don't know, depending on where you are, a few hours, but it's never really the sun. It's just this something, right? I forget. Oh, she's in Anchorage. Okay, see a little bit of the sun, whatever. Don't move to a place because it's nice when you visit. When I was a raft guide on the Olympic Peninsula, like, wow, why is the sun like paradise? They're like, it rains all the time. You're here in the summer. It literally rains all the time. You would hate it here. And I was like, okay, noted, you know? Okay, anyway, saying, y'all, like, the reason why I'm going to all this woman is literally, like, when women are committed to a delusion, this is what happens. And we all have either done this, maybe not to this extreme. We've all done this, or we've known someone who has done it, but like this extreme or worse. Because that's what we're expected to do. That's part of our conditioning. Date down, like date older, but down, settle, move for them, follow their career. And she's like, I'll give up this amazing, like, once in a lifetime kind of career to go hang out in where it's dark and I don't have any friends and I'm like 5,000 miles away from I don't know how many miles it is, but I'm saying it's a long way from my family in North Carolina and my job and my community, my friends and everything she's built for 15 years in New York. And she's like, oh my God, I love Alaska. I could see myself moving here. She just wants to get married, y'all. She just wants to get married. That's what this is all about. It has nothing to do with Alaska. But after a week spent hiking, again, it's the freaking summer, mountain biking and watching the sunset with Mr. Marley, who had a chivalry kind of mannerism about him. Yeah, well, I should hope so. There's no women where he lives. And this one came thousands of miles. But he's like, oh, I'll impress her. This literally reminds me, again, I'm not going to go off too much. Right now. I was on couch surfing before Airbnb kind of took it all over and couch surfing became a corporation or whatever. There were so many men who were literally like, they didn't want to go out and date anymore because that required money. So they'd rather host couch surfers. One literally said, yeah, my brother got married to a couch surfer. So I don't really date anymore because it's expensive and it's like whatever. So they come to me. That's what he did. That's what he did. But all it took was a little bit of chivalry and mannerism about him and holding a baby moose. And she was hooked. What's your name? Ashley? You need higher standards, babe. I really wish you liked yourself more and that your mom wasn't pressuring you so much. And not just on the landscape. The day of her return flight to North Carolina, July 14th, 2021, we zoomed all night. Wow, it must be love. Into the next day. A week later, I definitely don't remember this. A week later, she flew back. Oh my God, this woman is so screwed. Do you understand? This was in the New York Times. It's like this amazing love story. This is like, I'm desperate. Do everything. Miss Miller, an only child, found her love of music as a preschooler while watching her mother practice. She kept saying, that's an A and that's a G. She's okay. I don't care. Sorry, I don't want to make this too long. By the time she left for boarding school, okay. Loaded, rich, white Southern family. Ooh, that pressure is even more intense. I wonder if she went to like a debutante ball too. That's actually something that still happens there. I've never been to one, but I've met people from the South who've been to them, and I'm just like, oh my God. Like literally selling your daughter, being like, presenting her, the virgin pure white girl, take her off my hands. So she was put in boarding school at North Carolina School of Arts. She was playing several instruments. Her bachelor's and master's degree, both in music, are from Mann School for Music. At the New School, New School, also impressive. Her doctorate, oh my God. This woman is loaded, has a doctorate, works at Juilliard, lives in New York City. She's so desperate, she's moving to Alaska. Also, I forgot, look, only child, oh. Okay, imagine having one child and then sending them to boarding school. I would be willing to bet that her parents, maybe didn't show her a whole lot of love. I'm not saying that all kids who go to boarding school, it's because their parents don't love them. I'm saying that a lot of kids I've met who went to boarding school, their parents just want to get rid of them. I've worked with a lot of rich kids when I was doing outdoor education, and the way some of these parents just literally just wanted to get rid of their kids so they could go on vacation, just even for the summer. One of them sent a kid with broken ribs on a backpacking trip. Broken ribs. I had to send this kid home. He was in so much pain. And he was like, yeah, my parents really wanted to go on vacation. I tell you, like, a lot of parents, like, really just, like, they should never have been parents. Because poor little Ashley is marrying this loser in Alaska because mom won't get off her butt about getting married. Anyway, he also seems to be an overachiever, which a lot of times is also rooted in not feeling good enough for your parents. Not always, but a lot of times. Mr. Marley, oh, here we go. Let's find out about him. Was raised in Fostoria, Ohio. His mother died of a heart attack when he was 11. Okay, lots of trauma. Lots of trauma. Have you been to therapy? Mr. Marley, I forget his first name. The oldest of 3 surviving children, one of his younger twins brothers died shortly after. Oh my God. Okay, mom died when he was 11. Brother died right after being born. He took on caregiving duties for his brother and sister. Oh my God. Hello, parentification. That means he's got a dad who's like, I don't want to raise these kids, right? So now he's the parent. Their father, a defense attorney and acting judge, was a busy man. Okay, we know what this means. Never home. As a Gen Xer, I know exactly what this means. Latchkey kid, death of a parent, death of a sibling, and dad's never home. Great, I'm sure this man has really healthy relationships. He can, it's possible. But how much you want to bet he didn't work it out? Because that's why he's in Alaska. I'm telling you, these mountain towns are full of broken men who will not heal themselves. They just want to be like little lone wolves out in the wilderness. And then they're like, crap, I'm going to get sick one day. What do I do? Hospice wife. That's what. I learned how to help. In 1991, he joined the Army National, military. There's so much domestic violence in the military. If they already weren't like set up to already be in the cycle of violence from their families, Uncle Sam is an abuser. And the men who work for Uncle Sam, especially in like active combat, tend to take that out on their families. I'm telling you, man, Big Daddy beats these men and then they go home and they want to be the king of the castle and they have all this PTSD and all this stuff. And I'm telling you, it is rampant in this community. And that's what they go for. They literally prey on, they're predators, these army recruiters. They prey on poor kids. They prey on Black, Indigenous, and other people of color. Go into, like, literally, I've heard stories of them, like, harassing kids in these communities. And they also love kids from broken homes, looking for a daddy. Uncle Sam is a great daddy. Go out and do some genocide, little imperialism here and there, and then come home, if you come home, absolutely traumatized, unable to work at like a normal job because no one understands you. God, I had to do a whole video on the military. Dad is a Vietnam vet. I have a lot of thoughts. Anyway, retiring in 2020 as a medical operations officer in between racking up a list of accomplishments. Of course, just like Ashley, this man didn't feel loved by his dad, has a dead mom, and was parentified. Shocker! He's going to do all kinds of amazing things because his parents probably didn't make him feel like, his parent didn't make him feel loved or secure or confident in and of himself. I'm telling you, people who are just like, I'm not saying ambition is always rooted in trauma. It's not. But a lot of people who just overachievers, a lot of that is rooted in some sort of childhood trauma or like family stuff. His fascination with Alaska started in his late teens after a winter's worth of National Guard training there. It kind of shaped my adventurous spirit. I don't know if you want to call it adventurous spirit. I used to call it that. I have an adventurous spirit. I also had escapism, trauma response. Love putting myself in danger because it felt familiar. Family, familiar, see what I'm saying? And because I couldn't control my past, putting myself in danger in my present and conquering it or overcoming it or surviving it is very empowering. But it doesn't heal you. Anyway, I do a whole video on that alone. Y'all, so much to say about this. Oh my God. Just after he completed his bachelor's degree in natural resource management at the Ohio State University, he made the move to Anchorage. Does this ring a bell? What's that called? Into the Wild? That kid who died on the bus? I'm sorry, he wasn't a kid. He was an adult. From the South, ran away from Emory. Emory! Okay, rich family, or at least well enough off. And he's like, I know, I'm gonna hitchhike and go live in the woods by myself, away from everyone. That's how scared he was of relationships. I'm telling you, people got men who moved to Alaska. Grizzly man, that dude, same thing. I'm telling you, I'm not saying all men in Alaska suck. All the men who move to Alaska usually suck. Not always, right? But the ones, it's like as far as you can go to run away from home usually. Usually rich white dudes, or not always rich. This happens in Washington too. It's like they go as far as they can until literally an ocean stops them. And when that stops them, okay, Alaska, right? You can feel like a big tough man and survive the grizzlies and the skunk and the bears, but they can't survive their dad. I'm telling you all, there's so much, this is why I would never date climbers after I realized, oh my God, they're all running from trauma. Not all of them, but most of them. Okay, here's a pretty little picture of the church. Miss Marley's family is Catholic. Oh. No, Mr. Marley. Okay, he's Catholic. I was like, that's interesting because Catholicism isn't that big in the South. Ms. Miller, who grew up Southern Baptist. There it is. Southern Baptist. Woo! This is like, it's close to like a cult you can get without it actually being a cult, but it's kind of a cult. Southern Baptist is like next level. God, I was like Methodist, which is like pretty like low key, but Southern Baptist, whoa. So converted to Catholicism still doing too much. Literally converted to a different religion for this man, as if moving to the other side of the freaking world isn't enough. Ashley! Receiving the necessary sacraments weeks before the God, seriously, don't ever do any of the things that she's done. Not just like one of them, any of them. These are all the wrong thing to do if you respect yourself and you don't want to get screwed. I don't know, maybe they'll be happy. Let's hope she got lucky. By the time he met Ms. Miller in 2021, he had lived in Alaska on and off for almost 20 years. Oh, okay. Can't even stay in Alaska. You got to move all over the place. Is that your adventure or attachment style? Leaving from 2005 to 2002 to go to medical school. Okay, here he is. Look at this. Overachieving, probably. University of the Americas, Belize. Okay. And then took to work as an organ preservation specialist. God. Okay, actually, I take some of this back. The man's at least like really smart. What the hell? I mean, this is more impressive. Like still... At least he's not just like a hobosexual in Alaska, like so many of them. I mean, he's pretty accomplished, but still, he's old and doesn't like you. Along the way, he left for overseas deployments in, oh, here we go, Afghanistan, Mongolia, Kosovo, and earned a pilot's license, a master's degree. Jesus! In environmental science from Alaska Pacific University and multiple search and rescue. Oh my God. Do you see what I see? I see PTSD. Afghanistan, Mongolia, Kosovo. And then he's like, oh, okay, I'm like a doctor. How about a master's degree too? Like, God. Okay, I eat my word. These two, this is two peas in a pod. This overachieving thing is they have this in common. Maybe this is how they bonded. Still a bad idea. But again, probably hasn't been to therapy before all this. And then he's done like 3 tours in the military and search and rescue. Y'all know what I say about search and rescue? Firemen, search and rescue, any of these like hero things. They are so helpful in the community. They are just this hero and everyone's like, wow, your husband is just, he just helps everybody. Those men, not always, but a lot of times, those volunteer men, the men who are in these big are terrible to their families. And I've actually had to deal with search and rescue. I am very grateful to search and rescue. I really am. And there are a lot of men in this group of people who are like, what is it called? Benevolent narcissists or whatever. This is the male version of that. And then there's women who do this too, right? Anyway, I don't want to be like, search and rescue are like, yeah, they like save people's lives. Very grateful for search and rescue as a collective, but be very careful. of men who are in this. Look for that like hero complex. You do not want to be with a man with this hero complex. He will not be your hero, I promise. He'll be your villain and everyone else's hero. In addition to his job, oh, here we go. What else? What else? Mr. Marley, tasked with protecting there you go, hero, 24 million acres of federal land. He volunteers on 2 search and rescue teams for the Alaska State Troopers. Troopers. And is a vice president of a nonprofit organization, global. Okay, this is a problem for me. Like, all this, tough hero in the war, literally had to raise, like, his whole identity is based on taking care of people, and his dad did that to him. But because he's probably never dealt with this trauma, he can't escape it. It's never enough. How much time do you think this man is actually home and taking care of his wife if she's sick, or literally just being there with her when he's this busy, helping everybody, saving everybody? 2 search and rescue teams and all this other stuff? Do you sleep? These men usually make the worst fathers. Please don't have kids with this. Ashley, do not have kids with this man. He will be an absent father who saves everyone but you and your kid. Or he could end up being abusive too. Oh my God, y'all, I promise I'm getting this. During Miss Miller's second trip to Anchorage, Mr. Marley got a middle of the night call to help with an underwater search and rescue mission. Great, he gets to prove what a good man he is for Ashley. I'm sorry, I can't stop doing this. I'm sorry. Is this like a rich person thing? I don't know. Is this a rich person thing? Is what rich people do is like give name like Ashley instead of Ashley. I'm just curious. You know, like Gwyneth Paltrow, whatever, is like Apple and started that whole thing. So she got to come along and watch her boyfriend, who's way too old for her, along taking notes on shore. What are you taking notes like metaphorically or like what? By the end of that summer, she became a research and rescue volunteer for the state trip. God, Ashley. Can you say making yourself all about someone else any more than this? I mean, that too? Are you going to join the military too? Like, come on. They kind of adopted me. Oh, here we go. Because your parents hate you? I don't know. I'm sorry. I am like reading way too much into this. Usually people don't move like that so far away from their family unless they're looking for something they can't find in their family. Or they have no choice, but I mean, come on. They kind of adopted me as someone who could document what, oh my God! She signed herself up to be their little secretary. You know how men do this in every freaking job? I mean, come on. Anyone who has worked with all men, right? I've never worked in an office with them, but I'm telling you, as somebody who's worked with all men, no matter what the job is, they want you to do like the women's work. She's doing it even for search and rescue. She's like, don't worry, I'll take notes. Does anyone need coffee too? Ashley! Like Mr. Marley, whose photos with the baby moose had been snapped just before he rescued the stranded creature, she didn't take the commitment lightly. Of course not. She fully commits to stuff without thinking about it. She had made up her mind. She wasn't sure when, but she was moving to Alaska. Y'all, do you see what's happening? This man hasn't even asked her to marry him. He hasn't even asked her. This is her second trip visiting. She's like, yep, I'm moving to Alaska. She's moving for a man she's not even engaged to. She's literally moving for a fantasy. She doesn't know this man. Look at how many Zoom hours you've been. 2 trips, you're moving to Alaska. With your career that you will not be able to do in Alaska. Okay. God, oh my God, please work on your self-esteem. It happened sooner than either expected. On January 9th, 2022, while on a first skiing trip together here, she's already back. I don't know how many times she's visited. I'm telling you, she is doing too much. Why isn't he coming to New York? Because he's not moving to New York. We know that, right? He ain't moving to New York. He's never going to move for her. Even she owns property in the Catskills. It makes sense for her to be there for her job. He could probably change his job better than she could change her job given his skill set. I'm sorry, but there's no Juilliard anywhere near Alaska. But of course, you know, swear to God, every movie is Beauty and the Beast or The Little Mermaid. I mean, she could talk in this one, but I'm telling you. Bye-bye, Dad. Bye-bye, mer people, crab, SeaWorld. Oh, and I'm going to become a different species. And now I gotta walk. I gotta do all this stuff. I gotta live in a different world. A whole new world. For a man she doesn't even know. I hate The Little Mermaid. I used to love it. I hate it so much now. Although, very happy about the latest version of it. But like the story, the premise is so disturbing to me. Seriously, every movie they're like, hey ladies, your life is empty without a man. And by the way, you have to sacrifice everything. And also, he's usually a loser who doesn't deserve you. But anyway, the dead parent thing even comes in here. All the parents in the Disney movies are dead too. So while skiing, Ms. Miller broke her leg. Hey, like broken leg is a big deal. And tore her ACL and meniscus. Oh man. Oh, I tore my ACL when I was a ski instructor in Jackson Hole. Just one of those injuries. She did meniscus, ACL, and a broken leg. That is bad. The ACL alone was like a very hard recovery. After that, we were put in a kind of either this works or it doesn't situation. Going home to New York, where she was due back at work after the long COVID pause, was impossible. Her apartment was a 3-story walk-up. So she moved in with Mr. Marley. Oh, here we go. I swear to God, she's like, now we get to play house. Through several surgeries and bouts of anxiety over her career, he really took care of me. Now, this doesn't surprise me. He's been parentified. He's used to taking care of people. Being a freelance performer and an adjunct professor doesn't give you a whole lot of protection. With him, I felt safe. Very relatable. And I understand how she's like, wow, I feel safe with him. And he's a caretaker. And again, maybe he is all these things. The fact that, usually men are terrible at taking care of people. Or, if you get sick, they're like gonna leave you or cheat on you or both. So yeah, I can see how she's like, wow, okay. This seems like a green flag. Maybe it is. Oh, it's like, well, you just finished already. And any woman who dates men can understand this desperately wanting to feel safe with a man. And she does. I also want to point out that it is a green flag if a man is like really nurturing and takes care of you. I am like not the nurturing one in our couple. Y'all have heard me talk about this before. Anthony is like he's the more nurturing, like energy or whatever. You know what I mean? Like I've always been kind of like this dude. And he is better at talking about emotions and all that stuff. Like I understand someone like me, I really needed something like this. What she's referring, a sense of safety, really good at taking care of people. So I understand that this is like a green flag. My problem is everything we know up to now. Her being desperate and not really appreciating her value. And also being so much older and him having clearly a ton of trauma and a lot of situations that I would call red flag. So my concern is that maybe he's like really taking care of her now. I'm curious if he's going to keep this energy once she's stuck in Alaska and has no community, no friends, other than people she met through him, the people she takes notes for free when volunteering for search and rescue. And if this man ever gets abusive, she is screwed. Other than the fact that she clearly comes from money, so she would have a financial way of getting out of that. Like, this is bad. This is such a vulnerable situation for any woman to put yourself in. This is someone who needs to decenter men and heal some stuff before she should be dating, because she may have just ruined her career with this love story. Minimum. She may even just have ruined her life. She gets trapped in Alaska with this man in an abusive relationship. She already has low self-esteem, clearly. How easily do you think it's going to be for her to get out? Men exploit our low self-esteem. That's how we end up in abusive relationships. Anyway, for Mr. Marley, living together unexpectedly proved what he already knew. He already knew. He found his life partner. It probably accelerated our relationship by about a year. Okay, yeah, I'm sure. Anthony and I were in lockdown for a long time. That absolutely accelerated our relationship. It was a huge test. So I can understand the logic behind this. It's the fact that she was going out there, like, flying across the country and doing all this. Before all this, Miss Miller was flying back. Here we go. Flying back and forth between New York and Alaska on crutches to perform and teach when he started thinking about how he would propose. What? I thought you were stuck in Alaska because you couldn't. Okay, whatever. She's still like, how much money is she spending trying to date this man? Seriously. Oh, have you given up? Are you gone? Okay. He just snorted. He's like, ugh. If she didn't clearly come from money or have money, like, she would be in so much debt. I have flown to see a man If I didn't want to also go see those places, I'd be really embarrassed by it. Anyway, we're not together, clearly. Thank God. But I wish I could get that money back. I don't. No regrets, Melanie. Life lessons. On July 22nd, 2022, Miller's first week off crutches, they had dinner at a favorite restaurant, the Rustic Goat in Anchorage. Please tell me this was a nice restaurant. At the very least. After, he drove her to Beluga Point, a rocky outcropping overlooking the mountains, and an inlet known for attracting beluga whales. It's been a long time planning this. This is what you came up with? On all those trips back and forth? A restaurant and driving up to a lookout? I'm sorry, I'm not impressed by this. That was a lot of time to think about this. Anyway, I wouldn't have judged it if he hadn't been like, oh, I was thinking hard, just like 2 paragraphs ago. She was still feeling unsteady on her feet from the injury when he dropped to one knee and pulled out a ring box. Her yes left her weak-kneed in a more swoony kind of way. He had to help me stand up, she said. On April 13th, Ms. Miller and Mr. Marley were married at the Holy Name of Jesus Cathedral in Raleigh, North Carolina by Reverend a Catholic, of course, because she's Catholic now. What do her parents think about this? Southern Baptist? Honestly, Mama was probably like, just someone take my daughter. Someone take her. She's 35. I can't bear my friends judging me. Sorry, I don't know these people. But like, if you put this crap in the New York Times Val section, like all the stuff in the Val section makes me want to go for a reason. It's usually rich people, and their stories are usually like terrifying. So y'all invited me into this, I guess. Anyway. So the Southern Baptists converted to Catholicism for marriage, receiving the necessary sacraments week before their... Okay, we already read that. In a custom Enyara V-neck, I don't know what that means. That's probably some fancy brand, I don't know, because I don't know fashion. Wedding gown, she walked down an aisle with her father, Daniel Bird. Mr. Marley wore his military dress. Of course he did. Hero! Even in his wedding. I don't know, maybe all military people do that. Do they? My dad didn't. Again, he hated the military. A tux wasn't doing it for me, she said. I'm a musician. Everyone wears tuxes. What? Okay, this was her idea? Okay, she's just bought into this whole hero thing too, maybe. The church filled with 82 guests was chosen from its organ, one of the largest fiscs or... This is why I hate this column. It's like, money, 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 look how much money we have. The largest organs on the East Coast, Ms. Miller said, she commissioned a Juilliard colleague, right? We got to mention that. My little, like, super impressive music friend. I got connections. Not anymore. You just gave all that up to go marry a good dude in Alaska. Okay. An old man. Hospice wife is your new career. Sorry, I'm like genuinely worried about her. I'm frustrated with her delusion. I'm frustrated with how much she's lying to herself. And then embarrassing herself in this column. And normalizing all this as romance. Literally like the Little Mermaid. Like military uniform in Alaska. Where it's going to be dark all the time. Okay, I didn't even notice this. Look at this. Military Jeep. Military hero, hero, hero. After a full mass and after Father West pronounced them married, the couple walked under a military... Here we go. It's all military. He's a little too excited about his military thing, okay? That goes into the hero complex. I'm surprised the search and rescue guys weren't there too, like... Reception at the Tobacco Road... What does this mean? Anyone in Raleigh? Can you decode this? This like... Money! Red! Anyway, this awaited them. So did a life of adventure in Alaska and elsewhere. Oh, you're on an adventure, all right. Hospice wife adventure. We plan to keep our home base in Anchorage, but we're both really passionate about service. Really? It's the first I've heard from you. I know he is. He's Mr. Volunteer Hero. But now you are all about a life of service. Because he is. You had a career and now you're all about service. What does that mean? Okay, about service and about search and rescue and teaching. Okay, all right, teaching goes along with what she was doing. Together, we're going to conduct projects and missions around the globe. What are you going to do? I'm confused. What is your new career here? You're going to do search and rescue around the globe? What are you doing now? I don't think you thought this through. Instead of a guest book, they asked attendee to sign a set of moose antlers. The antlers belonged to Mr. Marley's brother, Christopher, who died. Another dead brother. This man has too much trauma. I'm not saying that he shouldn't get married. I'm saying you will never convince me this man has dealt with it. All he does is escape into service. Literally in a pattern from childhood. Ashley! Anyway, there's this tragic dead brother story too. 2 dead brothers. All he has left is a sister. Now that sister's lucky. She didn't become the hospice sister. He's probably not in Alaska. He shipped one in. Okay, we're almost done, y'all. We're almost done. For now, okay, Ms. Miller will continue to split her time between New York and Alaska, teaching and performing in the continental United States. I'm so confused. What? I thought you were doing a mission around the world. Or is that a long-term goal? That's a long-term goal. Okay. 2 days after the wedding, she returned to New York to finish the semester of Juilliard. We can only plan 2 months in advance, she said. Sometimes we have to figure out stuff week by week. No, Ashley. You really should figure this stuff out before. Did you happen to watch The Golden Bachelor? Besides him being a little hobo, they didn't figure this out. She probably also didn't know how much he sucked because she hadn't really lived with him or dated him long enough. She wasn't his first choice. And she didn't really think things through. She's like, okay, I'll leave this family I'm very close to go live with Gary. And that didn't work out. They're already divorced, 3 months. You need to think this through. What I'm saying, love is not enough. Love is not enough, especially not for long distance relationships. It is never enough. It's not even near enough, much less not enough. It is so not enoughness. I don't even know how to make my arms long enough. Oh my God, I just broke my thing. I just woke up my dog. I'm sorry. Oh, look at his cheek. It's so not enough. It's so not enough. You need to figure this out now. This is that thing. It'll work itself out. This is what men say when they try to convince us to do crazy things. This is what women say when they try to convince you to do crazy things for men. And this is what women say to ourselves when we're like, this doesn't make any sense, but leap and the net will appear. I already talked about this last week. There's no net. Not only is there no net, there is a crocodiles are hungry, and they're called baby trap, patriarchy, domestic violence, and all kinds of things. There's no forking net for women. I'm all about taking chances, being adventurous, thinking outside the box, discovering who you are, making major life changes. I've done all those things, but not for a man. Not for a man. Because I guarantee you, Mr. Marley, it was never going to do any of this for her. Everything is on his terms in his world. He probably doesn't have any real friends. That's why he needs a hospice wife. Because those little search and rescue heroes, only heroes in the public. They don't actually help each other. Not all of them. But even if they do, it's just not the same. It's not the same. Oh, okay, this is the final news on this. The couple is building a new log cabin they'll call home in Anchorage. See, he was never, ever going to not only meet her halfway, he wouldn't even meet her halfway. There's no way he's... Look at all this. The place includes a 2,000-foot grass runway for Mr. Marley's... Oh, the perfect ending to a journey of red flags. I'll know what I say. Piloting adventures. Remember I said about men's hobbies, right? They're reckless hobbies. They're expensive hobbies. They're dangerous hobbies. Who's going to take care of this man when he has a plane crash if he lives? This is what I learned from y'all, right? It's like, don't date him like rock climbers. I'm not saying all. There's exceptions. But you tend to find men who have unhealed trauma or who are addicts or something. Some major thing, escapism in them. You find them in these outdoor adventure communities. And someone pointed out a lot of pilots are like this. Little hero. Pilots, doctors, search and rescue, all these God complex, hero complex men. And now, if he didn't have enough escapism as it is, he's like, cool, I got a hospice wife. Now I'm going to go start trying out my new expensive, time-consuming hobby called flying planes. God, just like The Crown. I owe y'all a video on that because, boy, I rewatched some of it recently just to see how much her husband sucked. And, oh, my God, so much worse than I remember. Anyway, you know if you want to know that one. Actually, I'm going to have, okay, more on that later. Patreon's coming soon. More on that later. Don't move for a man. Don't date a man with unhealed trauma. Don't do so much. God, y'all know. Don't do any of this stuff. You don't have to do any of this stuff to feel safe. I promise you'll feel much safer alone than you will with a man with that much trauma, because it's going to come out one way or another. Maybe in his sleep. Military trauma too. Anyway, gosh. Thank you for being here. Set notifications, leave a comment, share, blah, blah. And Wednesday, I'm going to be going live and sharing with y'all my Patreon stuff. And look at that little baby with his little cheek. Oh, toot, toot.